Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Alanna Fox Starks. Well, guys, how did you like the show last night? Pretty impressive, right? I myself am very impressed with Cheryl Sigwin. I thought it was an excellent show. Very happy to have her on the show. And she's already asked to be back. She can't wait to come back. She had a blast. And speaking of blast, my God, we broke a record. We had 50 listens in under 12 hours. And as you know, this is a brand new podcast. That was my 67th show last night. And it's a slow growing thing. It's hard to get started in the very beginning of a podcast. So that was something else. That was really a popular episode. Doppelgangers. It's a good episode. Coming up in the next couple weeks, I plan to do a show about bilocation. It's going to require a little bit of research. I have a personal story in regards to bilocation. Also, one of the most popular shows I have done so far is when I channeled spirits from the spirit realms. I plan on doing that again soon, although we're going to have new spirits and it's going to have a different feel to it. Stick around because you are not going to want to miss that one. And it's a secret, so shh, I'm not going to tell you who's coming. But one of those spirits, if you are a psychic intuitive, one of those spirits, he is with me right now. And it's going to be hard for you to guess unless you're psychic. So you got to stick around, come back every day because you never know when when it's going to be surprising, when these spirits will show up. I don't know if it is an ascension symptom or what, but for sure I have been really weirded out by something. My fingernails have grown 1/8 of an inch since yesterday in 24 hours. I know because I had put nail polish on my fingernails and they've grown 1/8 of an inch, and I'm looking at this going, what happened? My hair in the past week, probably the past 4 days actually, because I remember thinking, I wonder if I have to cut my hair soon, and I measured my hair where it is on my back. Well, it's 2 inches longer than that in the past 3 to 4 days. So unless we all just went through the 3 days of darkness in which we were all asleep for 3 days, and then I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe I was whisked away to another planet and lived there for a few weeks, and then they brought me back to the same time. I don't know. I asked my higher guidance, I asked my body, have you been abducted? No. Doesn't look like it. But suddenly my hair and my fingernails are growing super rapidly. And along these lines, I suddenly now look like I am 25. I've been hovering around the age of 30. I've been looking like I'm 30. Thank you, God. I'm 50, so I've been looking 30, and I was pretty happy about that. Well, the last 3 or 4 days, I started looking like I'm 25. So I look even 5 years younger. If this is what we got to look forward to, guys, yes! Woo! So happy about that. I mean, what? We're getting to look younger. Our hair is growing faster. Our fingernails are growing faster. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Although I have been craving Jell-O, so that might be, I don't know. I've been craving gelatin, which is weird. Hot Jell-O. Just putting a little bit in the bottom of a cup, pouring hot water over it and drinking it like tea. So for the past week, I've been craving Jell-O like crazy. I'm telling you, the Ascension is weird. It's like collectively as a whole, all of humanity is suffering from the most insane symptoms. Like we are pregnant and we're all together birthing a new world. And in a way, it's exactly what we're doing. I look forward to living in the fifth dimension. I think that for the past 3 or 4 days, I have been bumped back down to the third dimension. Came back to heal more stuff. Ugh, gotta heal more. And I'm doing it. And then I'm going to be going right back up to the fifth again. But that's okay. I have a feeling that my twin flame is going through some pretty intense stuff. I keep getting messages about justice, and I think that has something to do with court or a lawsuit of some sort. It's very weird. I don't know. I just keep getting these messages, which is weird because I have nothing to do with court or justice or anything. I'm golden right now. Thank you, God. Whew. You know, knock on wood. I'm really I'm good right now. In June, I've got an appointment with the government of Ecuador just to get my paperwork, my permanent residency, and that shouldn't be anything. All my paperwork's already ready to go. Everything's good. I just am waiting behind 80,000 Venezuelan refugees who had an appointment ahead of me. I've been waiting about a year for this appointment, so I don't know, guys. Let's see, as far as other Ascension related things, the Schumann resonance has been relatively quiet. There were a couple peaks around 20 hertz, and then one major peak at 37 hertz today, which isn't a whole lot compared to what we have been bombarded with in the past week and a half. So it's been relatively calm. I mean, it's getting back up there. It's going to rev up again. As far as the solar flares, we've been getting a lot of those, a lot of downloads and plasma waves that are not registering with the Schumann resonance. I have been feeling a lot of those lately. Well, I am going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to talk to you guys about something super, super fun. I mean, we've been doing all this work, right? And work is not fun unless we can balance it with party. So I'm going to tell you how to host an art party or an Ascension Art Party. So stick around because my ideas are pretty good. And they're not always mine. They're directly from, well, the divine. He wants us all to be happy and party and have a good time because you know what? It's not just about the seriousness. It's also about the fun too. So stick around and I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Hey you, have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you could get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. Hey guys. So a couple days ago was my kid's birthday, and I did mention that. And yesterday, while talking with Cheryl about birth mothers and adopted mothers and having us both been adopted, and we were both born on the same day, and all that, and then tomorrow is my birth mother's birthday, God rest her soul. Yesterday, after I was finished recording the show, I heard my adopted mother's voice say, "Happy Adoption Day, baby." And I was like, oh my God, Mom, and God rest her soul too. My mothers are no longer with me. But yesterday was the day in which my adoption was finalized. And every year I used to celebrate with my mom my adoption day. And that was yesterday. So I don't know. It's just there's something in the air about all of this energy of mothers and birth and adoption. And I don't know. It's all, I don't know what it is, but it's this week. That's the energy, at least for me. But it is time, speaking of birthdays and birthday parties, and now we're going into party. All right. I really forced that segue, guys. I'm sorry. But I am going to have a super fun show for everybody. How to host an Ascension Art Party. Now, it doesn't have to be Ascension themed, but an art party. And I don't know why, but I've been invited to art parties my whole adult life. And to be honest, I love these kinds of parties. These literally are my favorite kinds of parties in the whole wide world. What the heck is an art party, you might be asking? Well, an art party is a party in which you are invited or you're hosting and you have people come over, and instead of allowing your hands to remain idle, or instead of just doing a bunch of drugs or dancing or groping people in the dark, you actually are productive, but from an artistic standpoint. And it kind of, it's interesting because when you do art in a crowd of people, what happens is it changes the whole dynamic of the group, and it gets you into a more open mindset. And when you're in a more open mindset, more comes out about who you are on a soul level. And when you do this with other people, you get to learn about them as well. You get to learn about people's dreams and their hopes and their fears. And people really let loose more so in an art party than if you had a party where everyone's just getting drunk or doing drugs, because people let loose in a different way, but they might act like outrageous or try to get a lot of laughs to get attention. It's like a whole nother vibe. And when it comes to art, art is healing. Art can heal your soul and it can heal your heart. So you could even have a broken heart art party and have all your friends or have people come over that have recently suffered from a broken heart, and you guys can maybe do mosaics and smash up some old teacups that you go and buy at a, thrift store or something. You know, you could get really creative with it. So I'm going to give you today some ideas for what themes you can do for an art party. Broken heart is one, or calling new love can be another. Get a bunch of single people together, men and women, cisgendered and non-binary gendered. You know, why not? Get a whole bunch of people together and open up your backyard, you know, when it's warm outside in the springtime. Call it the Spring is in the Air, we're calling love party, you know. Why not? You know, you could all get together and do paper cranes and teach people how to make paper cranes or make birds, you know, how to go buy bags and bags and bags of various colored feathers, and you guys can have, you know, birds of love. And what you do with the art party, though, is if you are going to host one, what happens is, what if you don't have any friends? First of all, if you have no one really to invite, or you only know like 3 people. I mean, I'm an introvert. I only know a few people here. I know maybe 50 people, to be honest, in this town, but I don't really hang out with anybody. And it's not because I don't love the people I've met. They're actually fabulous people. I just, you know, I go back to my empath episode. You'll know why. I just don't like taking people's energy on constantly. I'm a magnet for removing all the pains and sorrows of the people around me. And it's just, you know, while they're happy that they got to see me, it just exhausts me. And then I have to go home. It takes me a few days to heal myself. And then I have to get back into a happy mode again. And it's just, I'm tired. I look 25, but man, inside I feel 50,000 years old. You know, it's just, I'm kind of tired of it. I'm tired of being a magnet for people's bad junk. So, but if you only know a couple people, this is what you do. There is an international website called meetup.com. I think it's meetup.com. Might be meetup.org. Don't quote me on it. I think it's meetup.com, but just in case, just Google search or Bing search meetup or meetup groups. So what you can do is you start your own meetup group, or you can go find a host who does something similar, or who does, you know, someone who's already got a group who does art, and say, I would like to host an art party. You'll be at my place. And you can also like rent out a restaurant, like back room, or I don't know, church basement. I don't know. You could be creative with that. Figure that part out for yourself, because, you know, how many people do you want? You can limit it to 20 people or 50 people or 100 people, or no limit. You can do it in the park. And then there's no limit, because there's no limit to space. But what you do is you just put the shout out there a month in advance, and then as it, you know, telescopes towards, you know, then you start telling people. And, you know, you could even put a community, if you have it open to the community. You have community announcements on your news, on your TV news, and also on your radio stations. So if you really want to have a big party, and you can have people bring their own supplies, you know, or they have to RSVP in advance if they're going to expect to do art. You know, there's a lot of ways you can do the logistics of the party. So if you decide that you want food, you don't want to have to provide food for 100 people. So what you do is have a potluck. So it could be bring your own food. It could be a vegan potluck or a vegetarian potluck or a mix. So if you have 100 people, say 25 can bring meat dishes for the 25 that are going to eat meat, and 25 will bring, vegetarian, and 25 will bring vegan, and 25 will bring all of the drinks and desserts, which would have to, of course, be probably vegan or vegetarian. So you could do the whole food, stuff. You kind of figure that out on your own. You could actually have a pitch-in pizza party. Now it'd be like the option hour before your actual art part starts, so everyone could come and gather together and make their own pizza. Or you could do like a vegetarian barbecue if you're in the park and you're surrounded by all the barbecue pits. You can do, just put the veggies on the Barbie, wrap them in aluminum foil with spices, and just heat them up. And then bring salads. You could have a salad party, or you could just have a dessert party and have it for the hour after people generally would be eating dinner. Just say, eat beforehand, but we're having a dessert party, or you could have a luncheon, have little cucumber sandwiches, just however you want to do the food, right? Okay, so you could have a sober party where no one brings any drugs or alcohol, or if you're in California, why not have a weed party? Everyone gets together, everyone smokes for the first hour. If you don't want to smoke, those people will come later. Come at 6 to hit the bongs, come at 7 if you want to be sober. You can always do it that way. Or beer and wine. Wine is good. I love wine. Hey, invite me if you're going to have wine and weed, okay? But if you're a loner or you're new to an area, meetup.com is an excellent way to meet people. Starting your own group, then you could be what you're interested in. It could help you quite a bit. Now, there's another place on the internet you could go called internations.org, like international, but internations. And it's all over the world. And it's people from all over the world that want to meet people from all over the world in your area. So, for example, I'm a part of Internations in Cuenca. And here in Cuenca, we have people from all over Europe and all over, I've even met people from Africa, all over South America, and a lot of North Americans are part of Internations. So that's another way to go about it if you didn't want to go through Meetup, or for whatever reason, Internations is more convenient. Why not do it that way? So what kinds of parties can you have, or what kind of art can you do at your party? Sorry about that, guys. Looks like the neighbor rented out his apartment again, and someone was taking a shower, so I just had to wait a couple minutes until that was through. All right, so I'm going to give you guys some examples of parties that were art related that I went to, and then I'm going to give you some other ideas, okay? So I have been to a party in Santa Barbara where this lady had just moved in to her new house that she purchased, and all around the whole living room was there was this teeny tiny shelf. It was like 6 inches from the ceiling all the way around the whole living room. And she thought, well, that's weird and interesting. I guess the people before her had some kind of, figurine collection or something. And she just thought, well, I don't want an empty shelf, and I wanted to put something on there. So what she did was she called everybody she knew and told them to call everybody they knew and told them to bring 2 or 3 people. And everyone was rotated out in cycles. And over the course of an entire day, she probably had about 300 people show up, most of which were strangers. And she said, here, come and get a beer. And there was a potluck. People had brought food. I brought food. Everyone brought food. And after you're done eating and you're kind of relaxed with your beer, and I think some people were smoking weed. And at the end of that, what they did was they had she had a long table covered in plastic, and she had clay everywhere, like big boxes of this gray clay. And she said, dig into the clay. Nobody gets out of here without making some art. And it's going to go around all of these shelves. And then she fired. She had a kiln in her backyard, and she was going to fire the clay, all the pieces, and then have the people come back to paint the clay later. So for her, it was going to be a 2-pronged party. So this month it was going to be making the clay figures, and the following month was going to be about painting it. I never went back to the painting party, but I managed to make her a mermaid sitting on a rock and a cornucopia for good luck. I don't know why. Those are always the things I tend to make when someone hands me random vats of clay. That's what they end up with from me. So that was one party. Another party I went to was an art teacher who was teaching art in university had come across these clay coasters. They were kind of square with rounded edges, and they were this ugly, like adobe, like orangey, reddish clay adobe color. And she also was cleaning out her garage when she noticed that she had like 1,000 magazines, like National Geographic and Esquire and fashion magazines. And she was just like, what the hell am I going to do with all this stuff? Well, she had a party. She had an art party, and she had like 30 people over and told them to bring their kids. And she set up tables all over her house, and some, was spilling out onto the deck because it was kind of a nice summer day, or it was an evening, so it wasn't a day, but it was evening. And she said, if you want to bring food or something to drink, go ahead and bring it. Again, it was another potluck because it gets expensive, to provide food for 30 people. But she made some of her own food and shared that, and everybody she put on some amazing music. I think it was like Beatles or something, and just really mellow music. But we all kind of were singing and laughing and joking. And she brought out the decoupage. And for that party, we decoupaged our own coasters. And she said, okay, I want you guys to make one for yourself and one for me. And so at the end, she had like 30 coasters that she used throughout her house. And the rest of us all got to take home coasters. And she had so many of the coasters left over that we all got to take home like 2 or 3. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I went with my husband at the time and my oldest kid. My youngest kid was still a baby, so he didn't get to do it. But we had those coasters for years. It was so cool. So let's see. Another party I missed that was in Santa Barbara was my girlfriend, Chris. She had a tie-dye hippie party. And so she had everybody come over, and she put out these huge sheets on her backyard on top of the grass. And she had every kind of dye you can imagine to make hippie, trippy tie-dye t-shirts. And people brought, like t-shirts, and she said one of her friends is a painter, and he brought his painter pants and made them like orange and hot pink and purple, and they went wild with it. She said they passed around the bong, they put on the huge speakers outside, and they had a blast. Even the neighbors came over, and they all did tie-dyes. And a tie-dye, if you don't know, is when you take rubber bands and you make patterns in a fabric, like a white t-shirt or white pants, even underwear. I mean, anything that you want to dye, you can dye. And you twist it up and you tighten it with rubber bands. And so she had bought 3 different kinds of rubber bands, different sizes, to make the patterns with different white parts. So what happens is you tie it up really, 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 really tight with the rubber bands. You dip it in the dye and you let it soak. And after about half hour, you untie it and let it dry in the sun. And then or you could put it in to soak it with some salt water in your washing machine. And what that does is it will make it set in more. So she figured it out where she had spray bottles. People could spray things on it. You could put tape on, to make words or patterns. And the other thing that she noticed is if you take candles, like white candles, you could drip a pattern onto a t-shirt and then dye it. And then with an iron, you take the iron and the candle wax will melt away, and in time the wax will be gone, but the pattern will remain, and all of the things that were covered in tape and wax and with the rubber bands will remain white, and everything else will be the pretty colors. So she did this. She's like, I want my own t-shirts. I don't want to go to the store to get like logo shirts. I want my own art. So she did that. Some of her things, in fact, her boyfriend was an artist, and he did like a pale like green and blue and pretty cool tie-dyes. And then he'd go back with fabric paint later, like a week after he had the shirts washed and stuff. And then he did his own artwork on top of the tie-dye. So you could make this a 2-part party as well, if you did a tie-dye party. So you don't always have to have a hippie trippy party, but what if you did and made it a 2-parter or even a 3-parter, and then you have everyone come back in 3 months with what they've done with their own art, and they could wear wigs, platform shoes, you could just make it a whole theme for like a whole summer or something, called the Summer of Love. Even if it's 2019, it could still be the Summer of Love, okay? So sometimes when it comes to these art parties, you have to provide your own art supplies. You're more than welcome, of course, to ask for people to donate money to you. Or maybe it's $10 at the door, but that includes your beer and your food and all your art supplies. That's fair, right? That will help, pay for some of the stuff. You can what if you have a really ugly garage and you own the place and it's just gross? Why not grab a bunch of spray paint cans and have a graffiti party and see what people come up with? If you don't like it, you can always repaint it the next day when no one's there. Or maybe you'll come up with something really, really cool. As long as there's a lot of ventilation with that kind of paint, that's all that you need, right? So you could provide Fimo clay in all the Dollar Tree and 99-cent stores now. There are little things of Fimo clay that you can get. When I was doing Fimo clay sculptures, I would make really tiny sculptures. That was like 20 something years ago. It was $6 or $7 for one color. Now for $1, you can get a little thing of Fimo. So for $20, $30, you can have a lot of Fimo clay to choose from. You could turn that into earrings, necklaces, pins. You could even provide those things, and people can make their own Fimo clay jewelry, or even Fimo clay beads, and that could be something. Another idea, besides I told you about the gray clay, you could get red or gray and have a clay party, and people can paint the stuff like when it's fired later or after it's dried out. What if you wanted to have a mural painted in your bedroom or on a living room wall? Why not order some pizza, have a pizza party, and you can draw it out and just show people what colors you want on the walls, and everyone can do their own section. What if you did a stained glass wall that just you already do the pattern and say this is your section? What if you are renting a place and it's white walls and it's super ugly? Well, you could get a series of canvases, and on the back of the canvases, you can write the numbers 1, 2, 3, and then you can just put a pattern on each little canvas and tell people to paint it the way they want. And then when you put it together, it becomes a big kaleidoscope all over your wall, and no one knows the pattern until the end of the party, and now they see what they have collectively created. That's another idea. Another idea I had yet was, what if you tell people to bring their own piece of furniture that is wood, that is old. People could pick stuff up for $5 to $20 at a garage sale and bring their own, and you will supply the sandpaper and the art supplies, and people could spray paint it or just paint it with acrylic paint. But don't forget that you're going to need an acrylic top coat after everything is dry, so people could come over and do the art, and then have, you know, the time to eat and socialize a bit. And when everything is dry, just go and spray it again, and then they can pick it up the next day when it's fully dry. And now everybody has painted art. And every time you look at that painted art, whether it's a stool or a chair or a desk, you will always think about the good times you had with your new friends or your old friends, or this could even be for a family reunion. Another idea that I had was, you can have people come and paint your own furniture. If you just moved into a new place, you get a bunch of raw wood furniture and have everybody paint the furniture, so that when you live there and you come home every day, you're like, I remember so-and-so painted that. Or maybe 20 years later, you'd be like, you know, I loved that she painted that, and God rest her soul, she's not with us anymore, but you know what? Her art is in my house. You know, I don't know. I always think about this stuff. A lot of my people have died, so, you know, this kind of stuff is precious. It could become family heirlooms. It could be precious. You could do this with your own children if you're a parent. You can have all the cousins come over and everyone can make something for Mother's Day or Father's Day or even Christmas gifts. Why not? You can get little boxes that are wood for $1 at Michael's Art Supplies. I don't even think they're in business anymore. Sorry about that. But just your local art supply place like Walmart or whatever. I'm sure you could find this stuff very, very easy. So what if you have a kid's birthday party? You can have all the kids come and they'll paint their own jewelry box. Or if it's for a boy, they can paint their own treasure box. You don't have to call it jewelry. You know, you don't have to have a sexist-based party. It could just be, hey, have a little trinket and treasure box. Why not? I had a friend whose kid had a pirate-themed party, and everybody had to paint their own pirate's treasure box. I thought that was pretty cute. Plus, it keeps kids busy for hours, and it keeps adults busy for hours as well. And it's a great way to socialize, and it uplifts your energy and your vibration. And as we all know, we need this for the ascension. We need this high vibe energy, and art is healing. So another idea I had was costume party. So a month before Halloween, people could get together, and everybody has brought maybe skeins of fabric, or they have bought I don't know, glitter glue or paint or who knows, just crazy jewelry they got at their local thrift store. Well, if everyone brings a box of crazy stuff and then everyone shares, imagine the hilarious and unique and original costumes you would have for Halloween the following month. That might be something. You could do it with kids. You could do it for adults. You could just say we're going to have a gothic party and everyone has to bring anything and everything that is jewelry related or lace, black lace or ribbons, sequins, whatever floats your boat, feathers, wigs, just anything that you can think of. Just walk through your local art and craft supply store and you will come up with all kinds of ideas. What if everybody has jeans that they're getting ready to throw away, but you had a ugly jean party and everyone brought patches and things to sew into the jeans? That could be fun. Or you can have an ugly sweater party where everybody gets together a month before Christmas and they put the ugliest possible things on their sweaters, and then the following month everyone wears their ugly sweater to the ugly sweater Christmas party. That's a huge thing in the United States right now. Every year people have the ugly sweater parties. I think it started over in Europe and it's making its way around the world. So, and it's always fun to make fun of how ugly someone can make something. It's not always about beauty and the best art. It could be the funniest or ugliest art. You could even have prizes. Why not? You can have a competition if you want. So, and everybody wins because you've had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs, and that raises your vibration. So, let's see. What else here? I'm looking at my list here. You can also go about this in a different way. What if you bought 100 little canvases and then you buy postcards of masterpieces that are very, very famous? You could supply paint, acrylic paint, and paintbrush, and everyone could go home with a Van Gogh that they painted themselves. You could do this on Vincent van Gogh's birthday, or Picasso's birthday, or Salvador Dali's birthday. Just get all your favorite, everyone's favorites. Ask them, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? And you could just print it up from the internet. Why not? Or get little postcards. Go to your local art store. A lot of times they'll have postcards of famous paintings, and everyone gets to take home a masterpiece. This could also be a nice gift for a housewarming. You can have people come and everybody paints a different masterpiece, and then all that will go into the art room or the living room or whatever bedroom of the person whose house it is. That's an excellent idea. And it doesn't have to be that everyone's super perfect. It could be funny. It could be a take on a theme. I have had an idea of taking pictures all over the town that I live in and doing a Vincent van Gogh style of Starry, Starry Night, but of various parts of Cuenca. I'm in a World Heritage Site, and the buildings here are very distinctive, but if they were painted in blues and yellows, it would be very interesting. It'd be reminiscent of one style of art, but at the same time, it would be fresh and new. You could do this in the style of Manet or Monet. People can even do self-portraits in the style of Picasso, which would be hilarious because you don't have to worry about getting things right proportion-wise. It could just be something super funny. Why not? And you can make it purposely funny, because every time people see that art and they have that memory, it's going to make them laugh and thereby raise their vibration. So when you are having these parties, make sure that you have amazing music, or conversely, you can play a comedy album. Robin Williams started off on vinyl. Before he was even in Mork and Mindy, he had a comedy album on vinyl. So you could go probably on YouTube if you don't have a vinyl album or a record player. Unless you're a DJ these days, you're not going to have a record player unless your mom has one in the basement or the attic. But you can always find this stuff on YouTube. Laurel and Hardy, there's a lot of really, really funny stuff from very, very long ago. There's the Andy Hardy series that Mickey Rooney did when he was just a teenage boy. You could go and find these on the internet. There's also CDs you could get for like $20 for 50 different shows. And you could play this throughout your party, and it will be really strange and interesting for some people who've never heard of it. And for people who have, it'll be a wonderful past memory. So it doesn't have to be music. You could play comedy albums or old time radio shows that you could get CDs of this off of eBay for like $5. So that's another idea. Or maybe you know some musicians who want to come and play guitar or violin or even the harp. Why not? You might have people that come and be willing to play live music for your art party. You can also have people come together and just have a musical party. Why not? Anything that's going to lift your vibration and make you happy and make you feel uplifted. Something that's going to make you spread your wings and soar. You could also decorate hats. You can have people bring a plain white t-shirt, and people can decorate the t-shirts however they want. You know, provide needles and thread and band-aids just in case. But you can also provide feathers and sequins. I even bought some fake moss the other day. It's made with cut up loofahs. Loofahs are not from the ocean, by the way. They're from, well, you can grow them in your backyard, actually. So I found some that were dyed dark green. It looks just like moss. Well, I'm going to glue it on the bottom of my stool that I painted to look like a red mushroom with white spots, and it's going to look like something I plucked up out of the forest. So these are just some wild ideas. In my household, I always have markers and paper and canvases. I have no less than 20 paintbrushes and 20 different colors of acrylic paint at any given time. I have permanent markers and regular markers and paint, different kinds of paint. Some of it has glue with glitter in it. I have all kinds of stuff in my house. My kids have always been around art supplies, and it's always been one of those things. If it's a dreary, ugly, horrible, rainy day outside, hey, let's bust out the art supplies, put on a funny movie. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is always a really fun and hilarious thing to listen to. And they have a new YouTube channel. They started making them again or putting out the old movies. So it's always something fun and fresh and hilarious. And again, laughing and art and music and good food and good times with friends old and friends new can help to lift your vibration and lift your mood. And you all know that we definitely need this as we go up, up, up into the fifth dimension. Now, you could have people bring old pillowcases and old sheets and provide fabric paint, and people can make pillows. Pillows are super, super easy to make. And it'll be fun. Take something old, make something new. You can take jeans and stuff jean legs with pillow stuffing, or with other old clothes that are not worth it anymore. They're all raggedy and yucky that you can't sell in a thrift store. You can just shove that in and make new pillows and paint on that. There are all kinds of things you could come up with, better ideas than I gave you today. This is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. But if you did something like this in your home, that will raise the vibration and everyone will feel great and your house energy will feel good. You could do this in your garage, your backyard. If you live in an apartment building, you can do it in the rec room maybe. Just find a place that you could do it where everyone's going to be happy. It will always bring good memories, because where we're going to need this extra upliftment. So I know this was a completely different kind of show, but when I was going through all of my ideas today, this is what my higher guidance gave me. And I thought, well, you know what? This is going to be a good one. It's going to be something that people aren't soon going to forget, hopefully. But another idea I had was purses, messenger bags. You know, you could even make little pencil bags. Also, if you didn't really want the art in your home, and maybe it's not something people are going to want to bring to their home, you could also find a nursing home that wants Christmas gifts, and you guys can make pillows for elderly people or for kids with cancer. You can maybe find a way to make toys, or again, the trinket boxes, and you could paint them with butterflies or rainbows, hearts, horses, I don't know, your favorite animal, dragonflies, dragons, whatever you want. You can do a pre-toy drive where everyone comes and they make something that is going to be very meaningful and very powerful for the person who is the recipient of these gifts. So, I don't know, there's 100,000 people who have been displaced due to fire in Northern California. There's been natural disasters all over the place, all over the planet. And so this might be something, you know, you can make onesies for babies and give it to brand new mothers. If that would be, if you want to have a baby party, why not? You make this as fun as you want. And there's all kinds of themes. If you know a new mother who doesn't have very much money, the onesie party is excellent. You could just get the fabric paint that's non-toxic and have everyone paint a onesie. You can't get a cocktail until you paint your onesie first. Why not? And you could provide phrases and sayings. What if someone isn't particularly artistic, but they're more cerebral and they're into words? Have a bunch of quotes on the table that people can write for the onesies or the pillows or the boxes or whatever it is that you're painting. You can do, what if you have a friend who is a rock and roller or a punk rocker and they don't want onesies for their baby that's going to be all, girly or typical baby? Why not do graffiti and have people use permanent marker and write sayings that would be positive for the baby, but also kind of pleasing to the mom, with that punk rock eye, hats, socks, anything could be painted with that kind of paint, with fabric paint. And it doesn't cost a whole lot, and people could pitch in $5. Why not? Everyone has $5 to spare usually, especially if they're coming to an art party. Tell people to bring a vegetarian dish and $5 donation for the art. if they're going to take it home. Now, if it's going to be something you keep, you probably don't want to ask for donations, maybe just for food, which I already mentioned. So anyway, this was my kind of my idea today. You can look into decoupage, as I mentioned before, the party I went to. You could decoupage furniture. You could decoupage anything, anything that could be that has a hard surface. You could decoupage someone's bathroom door, and you can decoupage it with cartoons from the newspaper. Anything. You can even have a gift wrap making party where people make their own homemade gift wraps so that Christmas is different this year. I don't know, guys. You can have, a cake decorating party or a candy making party. Anything that's going to be uplifting and bringing people together in a fun and unique way. So, all right, guys, that is my ideas. Those are all of my ideas. I'm looking. I've gotten every single thing I wrote and a few extra. But why not? Remember, just go to meetup.org or meetup.com, or internations.org and invite a bunch of strangers. Why not? Get to know people that also love art and also want to have fun making art with people. So until tomorrow, right now I am signing off with peace and joy and love and art and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.